everybody. My name is КазуТБ-ИКиСГД-Английский. I'm lecturer of English and French. Today we will speak about modal verbs. So what are the modal verbs? Let's see. Modal verbs. Modal verbs are, for example, let's see definitions. A modal verb is a type of auxiliary verb that is used to indicate modality, that is, likelihood, ability, permission, or possibility. For example, two of my friends can play guitar. It's ability. Primary functions of modal verbs. For example, the modal verb which indicate ability is can. For example, I can play the piano, or I can speak English, I can speak French, and so on and so forth. The second, the modal verb which indicates the permission. Modal verbs are may, it will, and can. Past form of may is might, and the past form of can is could. May, might, can, could. The next type is prohibition. For example, mustn't or cannot. For example, you mustn't break the rule. You cannot go home right now. And the next, the modal verbs which indicate prediction are will, shall, and may. Shall is not used right now. Maybe it will be used in some textbooks, but generally will and may are used only. The next is duty, escapable obligation. In this case, we use modal verb should. For example, I should go home right now. I should do this exercise. The next, obligation, inescapable. Must. Must is a strong one. The next, request, can or will. For example, can I open the window? Will I go out? And so on and so forth. Then, the next, possibility, can or cannot. Then, absence of obligation, needn't. Well, let's continue. Modal verbs, ability, can, for example. I can ski. I can't ski. Look at this picture. So, can, what is can? Can, we use can to talk about ability now or generally. For example, the doctor can see you now. Terry can speak Arabic. The next, to talk about decisions made now about future ability. For example, we can go to the concert tomorrow, if you like. Let's repeat, we can go to the concert tomorrow, if you like. So let's continue. The next, ability, to be able to. It's a construction, to be able to. For example, we use to be able to construction to talk about future ability. For example, you will be able to take your driving test after a few months, a few more lessons. So let's repeat. You will be able to take your driving test after a few more lessons. Let's continue. The next modal verb of ability is could. For example, we use could to talk about ability in the past. For example, Tammy could read when she was 2 years old. Let's repeat. Tammy could read when she was 2 years old. Next, and to talk about present, future, or general hypothetical situations. For example, I wish I could go with you tomorrow. Let's repeat. I wish I could go with you tomorrow. Look at the picture. This is a penguin and it dreams. For example, I wish I could dance. He dreams he wish he could dance. So the next, ability could plus have plus past participle. We use this construction to talk about past hypothetical situations. For example, I could have bought a more expensive sheet, but I didn't want to. The next, I'd love to means I wish or I want. I would love to be able to go on a round the world cruise. The next, modal verbs of permission, can, could, may. We use these modal verbs of permission to talk about, to ask for and give permission now, for future or generally. For example, may I go on a school trip next week? Let's repeat. May I go on the school trip next week? May is very polite, could polite, and can less polite form. You have to remember this. So let's continue. Modal verbs permission in the past. So to talk about past permission, we don't usually use a modal, but for example, I was allowed to go on school trip, not I could go on the school trip. Only exception is reported speech. My parents said I could go on the school trip. So next, modal verbs which indicate advice, should and ought to. We use them to ask for and give advice now for the future or general. You should or you ought to. It's the same one, but we use only should. Ought to we don't use. You should eat less fast food. You should eat less fast food. So, and now let's check your knowledge. There are given exercises of modal verbs. Ability exercises number 1. You have to put can or can't, could, couldn't, or to be able to in the correct places. There are given 10 sentences. It will be your home task. If you have finished our lesson, our classes is over. Thank you for your attention.